Albondigas have always been my favorite ever since I was a kid. It was one of the very first dishes that I perfected as an adult, and now as a vegan, things are no different. Let me show you how I make them. So I've never actually had measurements for my albondigas, but I tried my best for this video. I started with half a cup of white rice. I'm gonna boil that for just a couple minutes. We want it semi-cooked. We do not want this fully cooked, and then we're gonna drain it and let it cool. Now we're going to start making our albondigas, or our meatballs. One package of Impossible beef. I've never done it with Beyond, but if anyone wants me to, I definitely will. Let me know. Then I added a quarter of an onion diced and half of a Mexican squash. I've also seen it referred to as gray squash, and it looks like this. Then goes in our semi-cooked rice, and I'm also going to add some fresh mint. You can also add cilantro. Some people do both. It's really up to you. I added about 25 leaves, nice and chopped. And like I had said earlier, I had never actually measured for this recipe before, so I tried half a teaspoon of salt. It did work. I probably would have added a little bit more, but it did work. And then same for the pepper. I added half a teaspoon of freshly ground pepper. I also like to add 2 to 3 cloves of minced garlic, but I didn't have any because, well, you'll see later, but I used it in other parts of the recipe, but I would definitely add that. And then we're just gonna mix all of that up until it's well incorporated, and we're gonna start shaping our meatballs. I like to aim for a golf ball sized meatball, but you can make them as big as you want, and I got about 14 here. Now I'm just gonna refrigerate these while I get started on my broth. To a blender, a quarter of an onion. This is where my fresh garlic went in. I did 3 cloves of fresh garlic and 3 Roma tomatoes, and we're going to blend this up until we get a nice tomato sauce, nice and pink and pretty, just like this. Now in a pot on medium heat, I added a couple tablespoons of oil. Once the oil heated up, I added in the tomato sauce, and I just started frying that up until it turned into like this rich red color. You'll know when it's done. You can smell it. Then I added 12 cups of water, a couple of bay leaves, and 2 chipotle peppers. Optional, but I highly suggest it. If you're scared of the spice, just add 1, but it doesn't give it that much of a spice, I promise. We're going to let that come to a simmer. Then we're going to be adding these bouillon cubes. I'm going to do not chicken because it's traditionally a chicken broth, and not beef because, well, these are supposed to be beef albondigas, so I want to give it that beefy flavor. I did 3 of the chicken and 3 of the beef because it's 2 cups of water per cube. We had 12 cups of water, so 6 cubes. Did I do the math right? I hope so. For veggies, you can really add whatever you want. My big 3 are potatoes, carrots, and Mexican squash. A lot of people put corn, some people even put cabbage. I put the carrots and potatoes in first, cooked those for about 10 minutes. Then I added the Mexican squash and started incorporating my albondigas in. So I started dropping those in, then I added some oregano. Don't do that. Add the oregano first, give that a quick mix, then add the albondigas, because I did this after the albondigas and I had to like very carefully try to mix that in so that I won't like destroy the albondigas. But then I took out my chipotle peppers, the bay leaves, and I added salt, pepper, and MSG to taste. Yes, MSG. You gotta trust me on the MSG. When the albondigas start floating to the top and all the veggies are cooked, our vegan albondigas are done and they're ready to be served. I added a third one here because I knew these were going to hit. I added some more oregano on top, added in some Mexican rice, another rice video coming very soon. And when you're having a bowl of albondigas for dinner and it's raining outside, you know those warm corn tortillas have to be within reach, right? And like I said before, albondigas have always been my favorite. I go for the full experience. I need the homemade ones. And there you go. This is my vegan albondiga recipe. I had been wanting to share this one for so long. I finally, took the time to measure everything out. And if there's any recipe of mine that you try, please let it be this one, because trust me, they're my favorite for a reason.